Hey folks, Craig Danger, vinyl record player, back, and you know what? Today I'm going to be going through 10 records that basically disappeared on me for 2 decades. These records remained unplayed until I actually went up to Winnipeg, Manitoba, hung out with my parents. My dad says, hey, you know, I found these records in my tool shed. So I'm going to call these 10 treasures from the tool shed. A little bit of an insight and a view into Craig Danger 2005. So please, make sure you stick around, but you'll want to grab yourself a tasty, and I would even say strong beverage. But most of all, you should buckle up. Okay, and I'm back again, and you know what? This was kind of fun. I had purchased these records probably in the early 2000s, late 90s. Many of my records obviously purchased then. But the difference here is that I have not seen these records for 20 years. And was just up at Thanksgiving. My dad's like, hey, I found a bunch of records in the shed. So you want to check them out? Check them out. You know what? There's some winners there. Did not leave a bunch. This was, I think you would call this sort of the core beginnings of the Craig Danger record collecting story. And that is mainly that before then I probably would buy albums sporadically, but I think right around '05 was kind of when I gave up on newer music. I'd been a long time New Musical Express, Select Magazine, sort of music magazine and real follower of British music. And I just lost faith and decided to go back into the annals of music. So why don't we start out with this one was a shocker to me. I forgot I even had this one. How about The Jam with The Gift from 1982 on the Polydor label? Just listened to this the other day. It's great. I mean, anything Paul Weller and The Jam is pretty great. I'm not maybe the hugest fan of the first 2 albums, but after that, I mean, it's all Setting Suns. Other album sound effects I still have on compact disc kicking around somewhere, which is random. But yeah, that's the funny thing about the Jam is I didn't really discover them until probably about the mid '90s, and that was of course the compact disc era. So I must have found this used or something, but plays nice. It's got a little punch in the corner and a little tear on the side. I mean, is it mint? No. But doesn't matter. It's the music, and the music is good. This, of course, the final album before Paul Weller would move on to decidedly softer vibes with the Style Council. And then, of course, he would come out of the Style Council and just be Paul Weller. In fact, Paul Weller today remains Paul Weller. But you know what? Classic stuff. If you ever see, that's the thing is, I think this is kind of a shocker. This is like Polydor Canada or whatever. And you know what, I can tell you, you will not find this in any used record store in Canada. I can't imagine. Maybe back then when kind of people were like records, and you could buy records for like $3. I don't remember them being that cheap, but that must have been when I got this beauty. But it's a good one, and really my only Jam LP. But I'm kind of excited to see that. So all my British watchers will be like, oh, I've had that and you could probably get copies of this like at, every week, at a thrift, at whatever. Not going to find this in Canada. Try to find this in the United States for under, I don't know, 30, 40, $50. I've never seen a Jam LP pretty much anywhere. Otherwise I would have bought it because just in shock I would have been. But that doesn't mean it's not classic stuff. Deeply underrated, I'd say, the Jam, definitely in North America. Less so in Britain. People know them. But so really happy to get this one. You could almost say that The Gift was, no, I'm not even going to say that it was a gift. I mean, that's just a terrible, I am above such humor. But anyway, The Gift, The Jam, 1982. Easily, I don't know, this is sitting on my dad's tool shed floor for 20 years. But it definitely gives you a view into 2005 Craig Danger, who was much younger and still gifted with the inability to grow properly, covering facial hair. But let's continue. This one. Oh, I was kind of surprised also that I even purchased this one. Why? Again, compact disc era. You could get this all day for $5.99, $4.99. But the fact that I have this, on record, absolutely blew my mind. If you do see this on record and you don't know Sam and Dave, get it anyway. I'm willing to say that Sam and Dave were probably one of the first bands that really got me into soul, and that mainly is because, Sam and Dave, just the call and response, the vocal acrobatics. Sam is ridiculous. Dave's the more baritone of the group. Obviously, most of these hits they were backed by the Stax band, but real strong sort of gospel vibes, riffing off of everything. But it's all really, really great stuff. If you're walking into the Sam and Dave corner, this is totally worth a pickup any day. It wasn't actually until probably the past couple of years that I actually have purchased their individual albums. I think I've got 2 of them. I do not have Soul Men, but I do have a couple. I think Hold On, I'm Coming I might have. But whatever the case, to find this one, and look at the condition on this one is immaculate. Of course, on the Atlantic, probably the Atlantic Canada label, as a matter of fact. But this is probably like some kind of later period repress. But you know what? I'm a fan, and again, stunning to get this one. And yeah, if you see it, and this is highly available on LP, probably less so, but definitely Sam and Dave, the best of. You could probably just get this, skip the albums, and man, you'd be more than satisfied. Only once you were through with this, you would then be less satisfied and maybe want more. That's Sam and Dave. But Sam and Dave, interesting story. They only lasted 5 or 6 years. Stax got into a big battle with Atlantic around '68, and then they couldn't record with Stax anymore, and they couldn't get basically Isaac Hayes and David Porter to write their songs anymore. And they also hated the hell out of each other. They also thought they were both dicks. They would show up at shows separately. They wouldn't talk to each other, all this other stuff. But you know what? Wow. Performers, despite having a pretty keen hatred of each other. But yeah, like I say, once the Atlantic fell through with Stax, they had no one to write their songs, and they really, that Stax sound was gone. So their career also gone. Sam Moore, Dave Prater, Sam and Dave. If you see this one, you should pick it up. This one stretches into the past. This one would probably be from the 90s. I remember buying this. Martin L. Gore Counterfeit, the Counterfeit EP. Just sort of a fun, in fact, this might be early 90s. This, of course, would be Martin Gore, him the key songwriter and freakiest dude, let's be honest. Kind of had the blonde curly hair, was prone to wearing chaps, let's just say. But, a lot of sort of S&M gear on the old Martin Gore. Really kind of falsetto voice. But you know what? I think probably in the early 90s he put out this, and then I think later on he put out a second Counterfeit EP. This is just him covering some jams. I have not listened to this recently, but I do know that it has, In a Matter of Speaking, great version. Not as good as, of course, Nouvelle Vague, which is probably mid-2000s-y, but this is good. But I'm actually excited to listen to this again. I do like Depeche Mode, and certainly Martin L. Gore. This would be... I don't think that I have any Depeche Mode on vinyl, which is sad, man. It's sad. But this is the Counterfeit EP, and it's fun. I'm going to check it out, but this one I thought was kind of like relatively interesting, and certainly something I was targeting at the time. So, picked it up, and looking forward to hearing that one again. Another interesting one that I've been enjoying. Lately I've been enjoying the live albums, but particularly the live albums that feature more than one artist. In fact, I'm probably going to be doing a video pretty soon. But this, of course, is the Isley Brothers live at Yankee Stadium with Brooklyn Bridge. Brooklyn Bridge, they do an Impressions melody and somehow sound like the Impressions. So I'm not sure who they were, but then you got the Edwin Hawkins singers, of course. Oh, Happy Day on this. But also a lot of other classics. So it's a double record. 2 LPs on the T-Neck label, as you can see. I thought this was fun, too. How about joining the Buddha Insiders Club, where I guess you can... where tomorrow begins. I've never seen this inner paper sleeve before, but... I would join the Buddha Insider Club. I don't know about you. But anyway, listen to this album. It's fun, of course. These live albums are great because they kind of bring you to that era. And, the sounds are good, too. Pretty well recorded. So yeah, also the Five Stair Steps in this, Judy White and the Sweet Cherries. Anyway, it's almost like a live compilation, but I guess they had a lot of opening bands and probably filled Yankee Stadium if I know the Isley Brothers. So this would have been a little bit before the 3+3 era, so you only see the three brothers here. So my guess is it's early 70s. It doesn't really say on the record here, but you know what? Fun record. Ooh, and a double live LP. I'll take those all day, every day. The Isley Brothers live at Yankee Stadium on the Buddha label. Don't forget to become a member of the Buddha inside. Okay, it's fine. It's fine. You don't have to. This one I thought was fun. I have never been into War. I do have the War Live, which I believe is from '73. It's a double LP. Good stuff. Very jammy. Not cutting the tracks. Not like, hey, let's be brief. There is no briefness. But you know what? This is basically a collection of, kind of their greatest hits. Some singles here. And it's not. It just has a split scene. But you know what? You can get this anywhere. And again, I'm still not super into War, but I do realize they have a groove and, they are a great band. And I've heard that they're phenomenal live. But again, this is a really good sort of start, I think, for anyone to get into War. This is War outside of the Eric Burdon era, which of course is my preference. But War, best of the music band. Good stuff, good stuff. This one was fun. Mostly because I did not know that the Righteous Brothers were like a 63 to 68 jam. They were done. Had a couple, 3 or 4 albums. They piled out the albums towards the end there. But basically what happened is of course, they were more a product of Phil Spector. The only male group signed to the Phyllis label. And this is probably from the mid-'70s. They had a little bit of a comeback in the '70s, but basically they were 68 to 68. Bill Medley leaves. Obviously, Eddie Hatcher. Ugh, I'm probably wrong. Something Hatcher. Anyway, they both leave, and then they come back later. And of course, some of us may remember in the '90s, Ghost, the movie, Unchained Melody was huge, so they kind of got back together again. Of course, this gentleman, non-Bill Medley, he died, of course, in the 2000s, and apparently Bill was actually still maybe recording a little bit, but actually touring until very recently. He just got another Righteous Brother, and he's like, well, let's do this. But it's classic. Would I recommend it to everyone? No, but there's some Phil Spector action, and also Bill Medley with which is the song? You're My Sole Inspiration. He produces that, does a bang-up job of pretending he's Phil Spector. So, good stuff. Would I recommend it? No. Could you get this in a $3 bin in almost every $3 bin in America? Yes, you totally could. It's not an uncommon record, but fun and, frankly, not just an advertisement for the wearing of white pants, which, you know my opinion on white suits, so white pants, you could say I'm half as positive on them. But anyway, looking cool as usual. The Righteous Brothers' greatest hits, it was there. This one was a little bit more interesting. How about the Beach Boys' Good Vibrations, which is not an album. It's just a compilation. And I looked at what is that? Is that a Pickwick? It's on the Pickwick. Again, I don't know. I've seen some videos and seen some of the vinyl community talking about how, the Pickwick presses were terrible. This one doesn't sound great, I'll be honest. But it's basically kind of like a hits compilation. You got Good Vibrations. Come on. Dance, Dance, Dance. 409. So it's like multi-era here. God Only Knows. Heroes and Villains on this. Darlin'. So, yeah, it's nice. I don't really only have one other album by the Beach Boys, and that, of course, is Surf's Up. But I thought this was fun just because it's a hits one. And my good friends over at the As It Should Be podcast actually just did a thing on the Beach Boys singles, and it was really good. So anyway, and also Pop Goes the 60s. He also did some Beach Boys stuff recently that was really compelling. But anyway, good songs, and it's a fun picture. Anyway, but again, on the Pickwick label, which means this one's probably worth less than $1. But again, a little bit of a classic view into Craig Danger, 2005. Best of the Animals. This one is not hard to find. Apparently, I may have spent $10, so I'm going to see if I can take that marker off. Very doable, as a matter of fact. Very doable. but this is in really good condition on the Quality Records label. So this tells me it's definitely some kind of a repress, manufactured in Canada by Quality Records. So again, it might not even be a repress. Maybe they were just, I don't know. But you know what? You got your classic It's My Life, Send You Back to Walker, House of the Rising Sun, Boom Boom. This is what introduced me to the Animals. I don't think the Animals themselves had a lot of albums because, they kind of broke up real early, and Eric Burdon went on to Eric Burdon and the Animals, which is a totally different group. But Best of the Animals doesn't hurt. Again, this is very available. If you haven't heard the Animals, you should. They're good. This one's a little more niche. How about Paris? Break the Grip of Shame. Look at that fascist with this black man in chokehold. I don't know what to say. Is it symbolic? A little bit less so these days around America, I'm finding. But you know what? Break the Grip of Shame. Paris. That's him right there. Oh, fun. A little bit of hardcore rap. Very political from, I think, the early 90s. Basically, Paris I think he only had a couple of albums, but I definitely bought this 12-inch probably in the early 90s. Break the Grip of Shame was a good one. Even better, the second single on that album, The Devil Made Me Do It. Ooh, little backwards beat action. Hot. But you know what? This is a really good one. You got the radio mix. It's just basically the same song on both sides. But again, Paris. Yeah. You had to be there, I think, for Paris. Paris was one of those political rappers that I don't think he really sold a lot of units. But, look at that. Really, it couldn't be more, I guess, representative of the times in the United States than Break the Grip of Shame here. But, let's hope we all do, friends. Let's hope we all do. But Paris, this would be from the early 90s somewhere. Is what it is. Found this one, which, again, we're cutting to the end of this 10-pack, friends. So, it isn't all golden ones. But how about a Jimmy and David Ruffin? Part of the Superstar series. Brothers, but I don't think you have to really ask who the more talented brother is. You know what I'm saying? Little Dave. I don't want to say that his first name rhymed with Ravid, but anyway, Jimmy and David. Certainly, it's a compilation. It's clearly some kind of a repress from the '80s. But I don't have any Jimmy in my collection. I actually have it's either I think it's a one-disc repress collection from Motown with kind of the 70s stuff plus a little Temptation stuff. But this is, of course, the Ruffin Bros doing they thing. But you know what? It's a fun record. I just figured I'd take that one. And we're ending off 10 treasures from the Tool Shed with this one, which actually I listened to the other day. And you know what? Banger. All good. Percy, really underrated. All Fame Studios, so all early sort of Muscle Shoals, Fame Studio stuff, really good stuff. Dan Penn, also Spooner Oldham, sort of like one of those classic writers. The Dark End of the Street, I think that's kind of the song where people are like, oh, and he of course does a version of this. He does not top Aretha nor James Carr, but you know what? When a man loves a woman, the ladies, it warms up the ladies. I guess if they're into this sort of music, but and if they aren't, what are you doing with her? But that one, and also, of course, the hits, It Tears Me Up, which in fact does tear old Craig Danger up. But you know what? It's a fun compilation, pretty good. Again, super obtainable. This was just stuff I found in the tool shed that I purchased 20 years ago. So best of Percy Sledge on the Atlantic label. That's my 10-pack of treasures from the tool shed. Thanks for sticking around. If you're still here, come on, subscribe. Liking helps the video, subscribing helps the channel. At this point in the world, with the way things are, we should all be helping each other. And that includes subscribing to a poor vinyl community gentleman named Craig Danger. But anyway, enough of that. I will definitely, you can guarantee, I will see you on the next one.